You are listening to Why Just Why.
Hey. Welcome back, folks.
We are back again. You haven't got rid of us that easily. We are up to 3 shows now.
Episodes, folks.
Right, so again, we are in the room together. It is me, Craig Taylor. To the left, I have Ian Reynolds.
Hello, guys.
And we have Dave Tinsley.
Hey.
Such a dick, Dave.
Yeah, well,
such a dick. Such a dick. Right, we are carrying on again.
Put it away, get it off the table.
We're carrying on again.
Okay.
This is how we start these things. So we are moving on with our second episode on the fantastically interesting topic of Brexit. Yay.
The enthusiasm.
The enthusiasm is it's there. It really is. So we are going to be covering the referendum itself and basically what happened up to that point. So we're going to kick off right now.
Let's have it! Come on! For England!
Yeah, so we've covered the background of how Brexit, or the Brexit vote even, was coming into play. I mean, realistically, they couldn't stop the vote from happening. It was in the pipeline since we joined, and they had to have a referendum on it at some point. So we've covered that. Now we'll move into the actual campaign and what happened during that, well, let's just say shit show. let's call it what it is. So we'll move on to what happened in that absolute shit show. Yeah, so if you want to go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, well, basically, the campaign, obviously, you got breaks down to 2 things, really. You got the campaign for Leave, and you got the campaign for Remain. We're going to start off talking about the campaign for Remain. And I think
that was pretty comprehensive. Yeah, I thought that was we hit.
It's got my vote.
We hit quite well. We went. The problem is we went to quite a lot of detail there, and I don't know if we'll have enough time to go through the Leave. There was just so much.
There was so much. Yeah, well, I think it's deserving of a quick recap of Remain. That was a very brief recap.
Yeah, just to sum it up, really.
Just to sum it up. That was the Remain campaign right there in a nutshell.
So the Leave campaign.
Yeah. So now take a seat. Yeah, get a coffee. Get comfy.
I mean, there's not much to tell in comparison to the Remain campaign. The Remain campaign was so comprehensive. We thought.
We'll start it off by just mentioning even the groups for leaving the EU.
Yeah, I mean, joking aside, we're just going to cover the whole thing because it's.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a debacle. And yeah, for example, anyway, if you look at the Leave campaigns, just see if any of these ring a bell. So, Labour Leave. Leave means leave.
Yeah, I know that one.
Grassroots out.
I've heard of that one.
Get Britain out.
Yeah.
The Freedom Association.
No, I haven't heard that one.
Vote Leave.
Yeah.
I think everyone's heard of that one.
Everyone's heard of that one.
And Leave EU.
Yeah.
So, there's 1 or 2 there that you don't really recognise, but the rest are there's quite a lot of them. There's 7 there in total that I've just picked out, and they're very well known.
Is Vote Leave the biggest one, would you say, out of them? Because, I mean, I remember hearing that a lot.
Vote Leave was,
The 2 I know of mainly is Vote Leave and Leave Means Leave.
I couldn't fight it off. It was just run down my face.
Now, you see, this is what happens when you're a member of the EU. Random elephants just walk into your friggin' podcast and start snotting all over the microphones.
Good job he's got these Remain hankies, though. And if you don't know what a hanky is, it's tissue.
Now, you see, it's for all of those Remoaners out there to wipe away their tears. That's why we've got these hankies.
Yeah.
Right, sorry. So, mentioning quite a few there, quite a lot actually stand out and actually recognisable. Whereas the Remain campaigns, they were Britain stronger in Europe.
No.
No.
Britain for Europe.
Never heard of it.
Nope.
Labour in for Britain.
No.
No.
Never heard of it. No.
No,
Are these just made up? I mean, I've never heard any of these.
There's more as well.
It's like, you know when they talk about Leave and Remain, before you look into it, all I have ever thought of was there's about 100 different Leave groups, and then there was just a load of people who went, Remain.
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 Whispering.
Did you say Leave? Yes.
Remain.
Like a guy stuck in a box. Remain. Stuck in a box. Remain. Vote Remain. Can anyone hear me? Stuck in a box.
I'm staying in the box.
I remain in the box.
Well, you even had European movement.
Nope.
No.
That doesn't even sound as though it's a what the fuck's that supposed to mean? European movement.
What?
That just sounds like a really, really bad dose of the salt. Oh God, I've got a bit of European movement going on. Oh God.
Oh, love, clear the way to the toilet.
Gotta love that European movement.
It's happening. It's happening. It's happening now.
Shouldn't have had the curry last night.
Honestly, you come up with these names. It's terrible.
Seriously, though, it tells you nothing about it. Vote Leave. That's it's like written right there in the name. What the fuck is European movement?
This is sound more obscure, just to throw people, if anyone was to hear it, just to throw them off, as if there's there's no way of actually making it simple. Just Remain. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, right.
Or just
Vote Remain.
Vote Remain.
Vote Remain. There you go. There's your slogan.
Wasn't Vote Remain one at all?
Not to my
Anyway,
knowledge.
no.
That's the thing is, does it remain? Does it remain in your head? It didn't remain in my head.
I never bloody none of it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember any of these Remain ones. They were not prominent within the media. Not that I know of, and if they weren't highlighted very well.
No, I can't. I mean, obviously you remember all the big ones. I mean, I remember Leave, Vote Leave, and
Leave, and leave.
And well, no, Vote Leave and Leave means leave. They're the two big ones.
Yeah.
That I remember. They're the massive ones that stick in your head. And everyone since the vote can remember someone screaming from the rooftops, "Leave means leave."
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen footage of stuff like that. You know, like people were caught on film being like racist and stuff and saying to like Muslims like "leave means leave" and all this. And you
Get out of my country.
Yeah,
and all that stuff.
that's how much it took on though. That the effect it had
like,
really.
It got really nasty really quickly.
Oh,
I
I
mean,
remember seeing it. Yeah.
so many people who would never ever dream of being that way wouldn't even think to turn
It's
around
like this-
to someone would immediately become wildly xenophobic and racist, and it just brought a lot of things to the surface.
It brought a lot. People. It felt like a lot of people who maybe actually harboured these views anyway, but were maybe very British and or British.
Stiff upper lip. Stiff upper lip.
I would say that one. Felt like, oh, this is their opportunity. Now it's okay to say stuff. And people went a bit
normalised racism.
Yeah.
It really did normalise racism. It's like, not to say that everyone who voted Leave is a racist.
No, that's
I'm
not what we're saying at all.
No, I'm not even remotely arrogant enough to try and say that, because it's not. A lot of people voted Leave for a lot of different reasons, but it did normalise it. It really, really did.
Well, it was like that, just that interpretation of it, and what for so many people who harboured these views, it, you know, give them that opportunity just to take advantage of it. And it's like a little domino effect. When people started, it just set off everyone. It just gave them the excuse and set off everyone else.
It pushes the boundaries, really, doesn't it? Because once a little thing you get away with, oh, get out of my country.
But it's also it's the protest effect as well, isn't it? So it's like, you know, oh yeah, I'll jump on this. I can be a bit of an arsehole because you've seen it online. It's an excuse for people to just start being dicks as well, even if they don't
bandwagon.
Even if they don't really care about politics or even care about the Leave campaign. It's just another excuse for people to just be dicks, like in protests.
Yeah.
You've got the ones who are genuine and you've got the ones who just go, oh yeah, I can cause some shit and havoc here, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
It's what it's like, innit?
You always get the peaceful protest, 99 times out of 100, there'll always be one person who just wants to kick some shit off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. There's always football hooligans, bloody any protest like ever
Like
in the
any
UK.
gathering of just people. It's
Even
like people are the problem. It's not Europe. It's not England. It's not Britain. It's not Wales or Scotland. It's literally people. If you get enough people into one big place,
Yeah.
everyone's an arsehole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you've got people voting Leave or Remain, yeah, we know that. What is it that just gained Leave more? I mean, is it just the media or what? What is it? Can you just explain a bit more about?
The personalities were bigger. I mean,
Yeah, I understand
the
that.
personalities were a massive driving force of Leave. Look at them. So you've got a fair amount. So let's see who the personalities of Leave.
Well, I think before we jump on to Leave, I think we should have a look at who can you name that was Remain.
That's a
Big
good point.
person-
Well,
That's a very good point. So
Easy
go
one, Corbyn.
You'd think so. You would think so.
Corbyn's not Remain.
Corbyn is not Remain. Corbyn was never Remain. Corbyn has been a Eurosceptic for many years.
Oh, really?
You would think that he would be more open to the EU, but Corbyn is he is an old school liberal, and the EU is very much for corporations. So he does not like the EU. He didn't want to stay in the EU, even though the rest of his party did, or the majority of his party did. Anyway.
Well, yeah, bloody hell.
The only one really is Cameron. That's the only well-known
David Cameron, yeah.
That's the big one.
MP.
Bad.
That's the big one. David Cameron.
That's such a backwards way, though, isn't it? When you think, I mean, when you look at the parties as well, you
I
just
know.
that. Wow.
I mean, some of the other leaders, like, I mean, the leader of the SNP and the Lib Dems at the time, they did want to Remain as well. But
Yeah.
the main, I want to say, driving force, but as we saw from the amount of,
It wasn't much driving,
amount
really.
of Remain campaigning,
He was pulled over in the hard shoulder.
they were just like, lost the wheel, engine's knackered, ran out of petrol, steam blowing from the radiator. Trying to flag down the big red bus, the big Leave red bus that's flying down the motorway right next to them. Can you give us a push? Please? Please?
And you know why? That bus was just never stopped, and it was so well, because they thought, well, we can pump all our money into this, because this is 350 million.
Don't even start.
That
Don't
we're gonna
don't
get
do this
back.
to me.
We're gonna get
Oh, I remember this.
350
Yeah.
million that we're gonna get back every week,
Dean.
and we can repair the bus. We can go even faster, even
We're fueled by money. Fueled by it.
Yeah.
But don't
So
take
much
too
money.
much, because when we get it back, it can all go to our NHS.
Is the bus just like fueled by coal where you just throw money in the fire? Keep it going. We've got 350 million here, we're all right.
Oh yeah, let's go.
No, but the whole campaign, I mean, if you see the media attention it got, if you see all of the campaigning that was actually going on, there was a lot of campaigning going on. It's just because there was a lot of campaigning going on. It was just
Yeah.
all through the Leave campaign. I think it was arrogance more than anything else, that virtually no momentum on the biggest faces that should have been campaigning for Remain.
Yeah.
It was all done by the Leave campaign, and the Leave campaign had massive faces really on it
Yeah.
that were driving it home.
So who do you reckon the main characters are that got in the media, held that attention?
Well, I can name a top three maybe.
Would Boris be one?
Boris is a massive one. Boris is he was very, very widely seen as one of the main faces of the Leave campaign.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, though, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when it was happening, I had a sneaking suspicion that he didn't really believe in the Leave campaign. My thought was he was using that as a stepping stone to further his career. Now, recently in the news, David Cameron has released his memoirs, and that's basically being confirmed by David Cameron. Boris never gave a shit about leaving. He painted himself as a Eurosceptic, but he never actually wanted to leave, and he was always very kind of pro-Europe when he was the mayor of London.
Yeah.
It was just he wanted to be on some sort of campaign trail and show that he could run a campaign, so that when it became his time, he could then go, well, I could be a good prime minister, guys. Look at what I did.
Yeah.
And he
I
could
see,
probably
yeah.
get a lot of public support as well, because he's basically running around the country waving the red, white, and blue, going, "Oh, patriotism, rule
All about-
Britannia,
yeah.
Britannia rules the waves." Mugwump. Friggin' seriously.
Isn't there what Muggle one of the words that you can't say in the House of Commons?
Mugwump. I'm not sure.
There's,
I thought it was something out of Harry Potter or something.
oh no, there's
That's
loads.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, Muggle, yeah.
Yeah, Boris is a Muggle, isn't it?
Bloody muggles. And the lack of knowledge of golden snitches.
There's loads of random words you can't say in the House of Commons, like blighter. And I think that's
Oh, yeah.
just-
Well, you're not allowed to clap or
that's
like-
why you hit the newspaper. Oh, so the notes on the back of the bloody crossword on the back of the.
Yeah. That's why. So why you always
What,
get
you can't-
this
Robber.
rabble? Yeah, rabble.
What, you can't clap in Parliament?
No, you can't clap. This is something else as well that in a future series we may actually touch on.
We definitely got to go into it. Like,
We'll actually go on to the ridiculousness of British Parliament and parliamentary procedure because it sounds boring, but it's just so stupid.
so unbelievably
It's
far-fetched.
so bloody stupid. It's
Oh, well,
unreal.
Save that for another podcast.
Oh,
then,
yeah.
'cause I don't know anything.
No,
about
we'll enlighten you in a
We
later
will
podcast.
blow your mind.
We will blow your mind.
Can't wait.
If
Or
if any of
enrage
our
you, one or the
listeners,
Yeah.
if any of our listeners do want us to cover that, let us know, and we will cover
Definitely
that in
go
a
into
future
that.
episode. But back to the actual characters. Boris, he never believed in it. He never believed in it at all. He just wanted to run a good campaign.
Right.
And it was confirmed. It was confirmed by Cameron that he never believed we should leave. He just wanted to run a campaign.
Right. And how many did you say? Three?
Three main ones.
So
Let's
who
see.
is it?
Well, let's see if you can name them.
Me?
Realistically.
Oh, God.
You're the clueless one. Let's see if you remember them.
All right, that's
That's right. As Dave is the representative of the average human, right? What people can you think
Well,
of?
we've got
'Cause I
Boris.
can't.
You got Boris.
I don't know. Gove?
Gove, yeah. Gove was there. He was another key player in the thirst for leverage
Yeah.
or
Him and,
leverage.
See, I only know Gove as a guy who likes a bit of coke.
Yeah. Well,
That's the
he
wrong
has-
reasons for someone to remember a politician, but
he has been partial to a line or two every now and again, according to his own admissions.
and thirdly,
when he was studying, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, no, it was when he was a journalist. That's what.
Yeah,
it
oh,
was.
is
It was
that-
when he
oh,
was a
yeah,
journalist, yeah.
those late
All
nights
those
doing all that
crazy
work.
parties after writing your articles, just getting in, getting a bit.
yeah, using
gotta
them,
get another-
using them articles again for other uses.
Got to get another line on the page, and
then the
one
line
up
off
my
the
nose.
How many lines have you done? 20. Is that it? That's a fucking lot.
It's a lot of lines.
Do you remember that?
3K's worth.
Do you remember when all that came out though? And there was that picture of the press coming to visit him, and when he opened the door, he was just like, and he looked like he had a heavy night that night as well when they visited him.
So,
It was just like he may as well just have all white under his nose.
a bit of icy sugar. It's icy sugar, isn't it? It's icy
I
sugar.
love donuts.
Just had a Krispy Kreme. So
But-
yeah, Gove was another one. There's one main big player that I'm amazed you didn't say straight away.
Do you know what? My mind's gone blank. I can't think.
You can't think of him, right? It's the big cheese, the head
Nige.
honcho, Mr. Brexit himself. It's our Nige.
Ah, no.
Our
Oh,
Nigel.
cool. Go
And-
into our Nige.
And anyone who's listening from across the pond over in the good old US of A, you've probably heard of him as well because he was sucking up to your recent bloody, I want to say president, but it chokes in my throat when I say it.
like
like
a big fat
Donald-
wang.
Donald Trump, president of the United States.
Feel like an amateur porn star. Just,
do.
ah,
Oh, oh.
little tear
Um,
comes down as well.
But Nigel, our Nige, yeah, he's basically Mr. Brexit.
Oh yeah.
Of all of the stuff that he was
With his big smug smile, and
he's yeah.
He
And
looks like
he's-
half frog, half man, doesn't he? Like
he is.
Let's take the power back. Let's get all of the immigrants out. His wife's an immigrant.
Oh, really?
Yeah, maybe. Well, realistically, maybe that's why he wanted to do it. Let's get all the immigrants out. I'm sick of this, bitch. Fuck her off.
It's not my fault, love. You gotta leave. You gotta leave.
No, I didn't vote personally for it. I just instigated the entire country to instead.
I used to love is the fact that he'd go to that pub, opposite Parliament, wouldn't he? And like he's one of the people. I'll go into a local pub, a little dive pub with local people. Have you been to the pubs around there? It's like £6 a pint.
What?
Right. Oh, local pub. I'm gonna sit down, have me pint like a true Brit. Who the hell's paying £6 a bloody pint?
Yeah, that's the first issue right there, isn't it?
You're not one of the people.
For anyone who's not from up north, the average pint price up here is 1 and 6.
And 8 halfpennies.
8 threepenny bits. And half a doubloon.
2 slices of bread.
What a quick handy.
Depends on what part of the north you go to.
That's a bottle of champagne, that is.
Depends how good you are. I'm a very good lad.
Well, it's champagne or Prosecco. It's either or. Isn't it? So, yeah, Nigel, go on. Tell us a bit about Nigel. Nige.
Nige.
He likes a pint. That's as much as I know so far.
Yeah. It's about it, lad.
He really did focus on the pints as well, didn't he? It was like every photo shoot you seen him in, he'd have a pint of bitter in his bloody hand.
He was always sitting in that same seat as well, or he was just outside the pub.
Yeah, he was always sitting in that same seat because he knew that he could keep the riffraff away. That was the only reason he was in that seat.
Was it one of those like you see in Kenny where they're queuing up to go into the pub at like 10:30 in the morning?
He was, lad.
Is that how he started? He looks like...
The other barmaid actually saves the seat and he uses the same glass. It was that old style, like rounded glass. Like, the old style, like half ball glass like thing.
Yeah.
Like on Peaky Blinders, those big round ones.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he was one of those locals who, he was one of those regulars, and the barmaid would keep the same glass for him. And he'd go back with the glass to get the same one refilled. Like, they never had that anymore. That was the one of that glass. All the rest were like the tall Peroni glasses or something like that. Or any other brand of alcohol.
Yeah.
Other alcohol is available.
I think we just we went too far off talking about ale now.
As soon as you talk about pints, I'm gone.
Well, back on to Farage anyway. I mean, he was piping out into the media was xenophobia. He was one of these people who was constantly saying we need to take back control of our borders, stop everyone coming in. And one of the more controversial things that he did was a poster campaign where it was queues and queues and queues of people going into the distance with breaking point written on the poster.
No, I don't remember that.
There was basically no white faces in that queue. Yeah, it was quite big at the time. They paid for a campaign to basically just get everyone crapping themselves.
Yeah.
That the country was just going to be flooded with immigrants.
Do you know what? It's crazy how it's obviously worked for him.
Oh yeah, it did work. I mean, and he lied. He lied constantly. One of the big things.
What politician tells the truth?
Well, this is the sad thing. Realistically, I mean, he was a member of the European Parliament. That was about it. He wasn't really a massive politician. He's been a member, an MEP. He's an ass. He is an absolute lying.
Using that same technique to get same as Boris. Just that it doesn't matter if it's negative. It doesn't really matter. He's in the media.
Faces in the media.
His faces, and he's well known. There's a lot of politicians out there who have done so much for good as well for the country, but not one person could name. And I won't sit here now and say, oh, like we should be able to. I can't. There's a lot of that I can't name.
No, there's a lot of good policies that were put in by good people, and they will never ever get credit for it. But you'll remember people. I mean, people have got this crazy image of people who didn't really do that much good for the good of the people, and yet they're lauded as some wildly amazing game-changing people like Margaret Thatcher. Oh. If you go to London and you talk to a few people, you might get a few people who will go, oh, Margaret Thatcher, she was great. She was the first woman prime minister. She did so much good for your country. If the further and further north you move, the more opinions will change. Very, very drastically.
Slightly.
Very drastically. But anyone from outside of England usually thinks, we love Margaret Thatcher. No, we don't. No.
Do you know what? How far does that spread? Like her kind of popularity?
Well, they did a Hollywood movie about her with Meryl Streep playing Margaret Thatcher.
Oh, fair enough.
So, yeah.
The interpretation of what she actually done for this country is way off. It's
Way off.
She done a lot of good for the South.
Short-term fixes as well.
Yeah.
A lot of the reforms that she put in place was selling off a lot of publicly owned stuff. So we had a lot of money in our coffers, but it wasn't a long-term fix.
Yeah.
This is another thing that we could do an entire episode on.
The whole concept of short-term. There's no long-term.
Like everything's
thoughts.
great now, but round the corner it's like,
yeah.
so unprepared kind of thing.
So, I mean, the money's got to run out at some time, and then you've got nothing to fall back on.
And she literally she essentially started that.
Yeah.
Which many a politician has followed suit now.
Yeah.
And not just politicians, businesses.
Is that because it was just popular, or do people genuinely believe in her ideas at the time?
You
see quick results. This is another reason why the groundwork for Brexit was laid. Funnily enough, the European Common Market that we've mentioned, Margaret Thatcher, we joined during her term. It was her who put us into the European Common Market, and that was one of the few things that she did that was pretty good. I think that was a positive step forward.
Oh, I didn't know she was in power then when we were...
Yeah, when we joined the Common Market, she was in power, and it was a step forward. It was a step for good, allowing countries to be able to trade, allowing free movement of labour. That's not a bad thing in terms
especially
of...
in like stuff like the science community.
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff like
especially
that.
in stuff like the research community. Realistically, anyone who's in research, if you're allowed to collaborate, if you're allowed to go to different places, that's amazing for your job. You can talk to the right people. You can
It's
make
amazing
the right
for
connections.
just society, for humans in general, especially medical or if you say basic things that we take for granted now, like how good mobile phones are, or any of this technology. That's because people are just allowed to learn so much and develop. Do you know what I mean? And this you get people from different countries working together. So if we have someone in Britain who's very talented, if he gets given the opportunity to go to a different country and work on something, he could be a game changer. Vice versa as well, you know, someone from maybe like Spain or whatever, a different country, there's a company operating here, they come over here and they're allowed to work on something and they help step it up. They do something new.
Yeah, because they could, that's it. Bring new ideas that we might never have thought of over here.
Exactly. And on this movement, these gifted people, doesn't matter where they're from, right? It's what they know, what they're able to provide. Yeah. And we're going to lose that now.
It is going to be a lot harder. They do say that things are going to be put in place, but it is going to be a lot harder for movements.
So, getting back to Farage, is he similar to Thatcher then? Is that...
Farage just had in his head that we wanted to take power back. There's been a lot of rumours that's not humongously confirmed, but it's pretty plausible, is that he has a lot of personal interest in Britain leaving the EU in terms of companies that will suffer less regulation. He will make a lot of money. There's other not as well known players, but you may recognise the name, like Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Oh God,
Rees-Mogg, I mean, he's
the most smug-looking twat ever, isn't he?
He is literally. If there was a definition of snooty toff, that is him.
Yeah. Did you see about him in the news recently where he was just slouched on the
slouch? Oh, I saw the memes. The memes. Oh my God, the memes.
But just watching that.
He has got a very punchable face, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He really has. You see him, you just see a picture of him, your fist starts to clench involuntarily. Even if you like him, I swear to God, his wife must just walk in and he's just, oh, hello, darling. Thank you, darling. May I have another?
That's okay. I probably deserve that.
Sorry, it's this damn punchable face that I have. Have you said hello to Tarquin?
Is that how he got popular through the campaign as well?
No, he was kind of always around. But he got heavily involved in the Leave campaign as well. Again, because he's got a vested interest. He's got a lot of family ties and company ties. He's got a lot of money tied up in places where he will make money. when we leave. And if it all goes completely tits up, he's from one of these backgrounds where he's got enough money stashed offshore, it won't make a bit of difference to him.
Yeah.
He will always be secure.
See, if it's all about, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't know. I've never been in a position that these politicians that we're talking about are in. But don't you just think it's mad? It all comes down to money, and yet why do they still need more and just to fuck everyone over? I don't get it.
It becomes a game after a certain point. There's literally nothing more that you can obtain once you've got a certain amount of money, and it just becomes a game. Does
it then become about popularity and fame and being in the media?
I think it's money and power.
Because they say nowadays politicians are more like celebrities anyway.
Yeah.
So is it a constant thing of like, I need to stay in the media now?
I think they've realised being in the media gives you that power, gives you that link, because it's all about votes. If you don't get your votes, you don't stay in. You're not going to get voted in next time. And if you don't get voted in, you haven't got a job.
Yeah,
which
means
right.
Yeah.
So the idea is if you can stay in the media, stay in the public eye, you're a name on someone's lips.
So you can compare them to Big Brother contestants.
Quite literally is that really is. And when they're there and they're getting the votes and people know them, that's when they got the power to do stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we've mentioned it before about people who are they toe the line for the party. If you're getting the power and you're getting voted in and you toe the line, you will hold a lot of power, and you will move. You'll move up the ranks quite quickly within a party as well. Be given positions. You won't just be a backbench. You'll be seen.
Yeah.
And then if a party comes into power, then that allows you to hold a better seat.
Well, yeah.
So as far as tactics used in the Leave campaign, there's a lot of areas that they tend to hit harder. One of the areas they hit was the countryside areas.
Oh, they massively hit the rural areas, massively.
Would you have a good understanding, a good idea or theory of why they've done this?
Yeah, I mean, they were hitting the rural areas and the countryside areas because they're less developed. They've got less infrastructure. They've got less opportunities. A lot. I mean, you see it in most countries around the world, but the rural areas especially, there's not that many jobs. There's not that many opportunities, and it's quite deprived.
Thing is, though, why would you aim for them more than the city folk? Because the city, there's probably more people in the cities, isn't there?
There's more people in the cities, but this is another thing about the general population, is that if you're attacking the areas that are most deprived, if you're attacking the areas with the most problems, you can then find someone to blame for those problems. And if there's no jobs, or if the local community centres run down, or if there's a massively long list of waiting times on the NHS in your local constituency for Trimley Bottom with a population of 400, then you can turn around to all of those people in that little village and go, do you know whose fault that is? That's the Europeans' fault. You know why you haven't got any jobs? Because the Europeans are coming over and taking it.
Yeah.
Do you know why you got to wait in the NHS queue? Because we're sending loads of money to them and we can't afford to buy doctors. Buy doctors. It's not Theme Hospital here. Buy doctors.
Yeah. But yeah, I know what you're saying, because you're not seeing a lot of immigrants and stuff in the countrysides.
You're not seeing them there.
They're just going to get that view, aren't they?
They're just, this is it. They're saying all together, all over the country, the reason that you're getting shit on is because Europe is shitting on you.
And that's what we've mentioned earlier, that go prop to hoch. Right, we're
your favourite
basically.
Word.
Oh, I love it.
You know what? I'm getting sick of you lording your Latin over us. We can't have all studied the classics.
Not as quite as good as Boris, but I'm getting there. I'm working on it. But we mentioned the fact of people misconstruing, and you said yourself, they weren't always misconstrued. They were led.
Oh yeah, they were led down that path.
And this is right there and then is an exact example of how they were led.
Yeah.
You've took a group of people who had lots of issues, looking for a reason of why this was happening, and it was so easy just to give them it, just point them in that direction.
They were practically waiting for it by the sounds of it as well.
Oh yeah,
because obviously it must have been discussed before this opportunity came. It was probably I think you said before, Craig, tensions were building or something anyway.
Yeah, tensions have been building for a while, but then so is the scepticism. I mean, realistically, they just needed to know where to target things. I mean, the main issue was for them. They had the message of everything is the EU's fault, but they needed the direction on where to point it.
Not even just actually physically turning up and doing these campaigns, but there was the Leave EU campaign, and that done it through the internet. There's a company, Cambridge Analytica.
Oh, yeah.
And
Everyone's heard this name.
Yeah.
Bounced around.
if, be honest out there's a documentary on Netflix which dives into quite a bit of this. If you have Netflix, watch it.
Yeah, it's called The Great Hack. I've watched it myself. It is actually really interesting. Really interesting. It's quite mildly terrifying, actually.
Yeah.
The amount of data that we've just... It's not even that they've taken. We've just gone, there you go. There you go. Take it all.
Freely given.
Take it all.
And the concept is, I mean, if you were to go on your computer and you were to look at a bike, say, next thing, that information is out there, it's available for other companies to see. And they see,
Just
oh,
based
on
your
bike,
searches.
based on your
Based
search
on your
history.
searches, yeah.
So next thing, you go on another website, say you go on a social media website. Next thing, in their advert columns, that bike pops up from that store.
Yeah, yeah.
Or other stores associate, maybe that sell the same thing, advertising bikes, because they have that search data that you've done.
Yeah.
What Cambridge Analytica started doing, they took it to one step further. They started figuring out the demographic of what people are and what they're interested in using these social media websites. Pushed certain adverts on them based on maybe some of their views. So they made connections. If they found out a person was anti-animal cruelty,
Yeah.
they would make subtle adverts connected by association. Not to say the EU is responsible, but
No, but it's not like they make it blatantly obvious, like some guy waving the EU flag, kicking a dog up the arse. It's not like that, but there would be subtle things.
There'd be
in there.
animal cruelty advert, and right next to it is something about the EU.
Yeah,
And it's subconscious.
Well, on that as well,
Yeah.
it's like
Wow.
it's just tiny changes, really little changes, like where they'd have a picture of one of the main guys, so maybe they'd have a picture of Boris, and he's going, we're better if we leave the EU, and it knows that you buy dog food, so it'll put a picture of him standing there next to a dog. Or if you buy cat food, it'll have him stroking a cat.
Yeah.
They're still doing it now.
That's the level.
The Tories, when Boris
So clever.
got in, they had, was it 450 different variations of the same advert with slightly different fonts, tiny little different colours, and they'll tailor them to you personally. It's that.
So the things you click
Technology
on,
these
things
days,
you
how you
read.
can get that though specifically to you is
to you,
amazing, isn't
yeah.
it?
Well,
You will pay more attention to that advert that is tailored to you.
Yeah.
This is actually it's actually a war technique as well. This disgusting thing.
Well, like propaganda.
It's called psyops.
Yeah,
Right.
Psychological operations.
The definition of this is to give selective information to individuals to direct their reasoning by altering or triggering specific emotional responses.
Is that a bit like hypnotics or hypnotism?
It's also association. If you say you don't like a certain group, leave or remain,
Yeah.
and they do the remain, they do, and they're trying to say being part of Britain is this, and they create an association, like we said before, putting that other advert. So every time you see one, you see the other. It's only
Right.
subtle, but you always see them together.
Yeah.
Now, when you see Britain by itself, it's strong. You start to see maybe adverts for things that you like, things, positive things, good things, and it's all these subtleties that slowly affect how you perceive things. Everything is association. If you have negative experiences doing something, then you'll start to not like it. For example, say if you swim, and every time you swim, there are things, something happens. Maybe there's a little kid who just kicks water at your head, or someone's getting in the way. And now you actually genuinely enjoy swimming, but after a while, you'll tend to dislike swimming.
Yeah, it's like that first time that the kid kicks water in your face, it's not going to bother you. But after the 15th time, and then the water's freezing, or you stub your toe on the way in, or you just think to yourself, it's too much hassle.
Yeah, I don't like it. They're negative associations. It's not the fact that you don't like the act of swimming.
Yeah.
It's these negative associations that stick in your head. That's
Right,
all.
okay.
The whole thing of like positive reinforcement
Yeah.
or negative.
Do you know? But so Cambridge Analytica, were they paid by the Leave campaign essentially, or Were they doing some sort of research that has just spiraled out of control?
Well, if you follow the documentary, they were in business with Leave EU, but then they kind of backpedaled. They were originally hired by Leave EU. They did a little bit of work for them, but then they say, well, we didn't really, we didn't associate with them after a while. So the suspicion is that they were quite heavily involved in it, and it was kind of a precursor for them for the hell of a lot of work that they did on Donald Trump's election campaign, because they went from the Leave campaign to the presidential campaign in America, and there is widely known that they did a hell of a lot of work on Donald Trump's campaign, and you can see the similarities between the two in terms of what information was put out there, how it was very populist, it was very polarising.
So we spoke about, I mean, this is not all the tactics. There is so much out there that happened. I mean, we do urge anyone who's listening to this to do go and just have a bit more research and learn about all the things that happened, and you start to realise the Leave was just so much more prominent within the media.
Dominated the media.
Seeing it everywhere, didn't you?
And
well, it wasn't even just the media. They were going to these places. They were actively going out. They were meeting people face to face. They were conversing with them. They were getting them on social media. They were getting them in their email inbox. They were getting them through leaflets, posters, TV, radio. It was everywhere. It was absolutely everywhere.
As we've mentioned before, the majority of people get the information about the society through watching the news, through what people say on social media, what friends say who also watch the news, create their opinions. This is what they've took advantage of. This is what they've used this to give the people information that they want, to selectively give the information that they want.
Which is pretty much what a campaign is, if we're being fair.
Yeah.
But they did a very, very good campaign.
Yeah, a very good campaign.
Very good campaign.
Campaigns are never going to be the same again because of this as well, though. This is like the next level stuff.
No, this is essentially campaigns now will just be won by whoever's got the most money.
Yeah.
Literally. It doesn't matter about the message. It matters about who you're getting the message to, and basically how many of those kind of swing votes that you're going to get. Because, again, I'm not going to say that I'm arrogant enough to say everyone who voted Leave was a racist or everyone who voted Leave was an idiot, because they weren't. There was a lot of people who voted Leave for a lot of different reasons. The people who made up the big swing after the research was done after the vote, quite a lot of them didn't know what they were voting for. They didn't know what the EU did in the first place. I can say from personal anecdotes, from people that I know, I associate with, who did vote Leave. I asked them, so why did you vote Leave? Oh, well, because we're taking back our jobs, or we're stopping immigration. And I'm like, well, do you know what the EU does? And the first response was, no, I don't. And it's like, you've literally just voted to knock down something that you have no idea what it does.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Don't realise the consequences of what their actions are as well.
No. And although it was one of the biggest voter turnouts in history, there was less than 2% difference. It was marginal. It was a marginal vote.
Yeah.
It was right down to the wire.
But it was also a lot of non-voters as well.
A lot of non-voters.
Big part to play with it.
There's a lot in terms of the vote share as well. There was a lot of young people who voted Remain. There was a lot of older people who voted Leave. It is a big split. And then there's quite a lot of educated people who voted Leave. There's quite a lot of uneducated people who voted Remain. It is a mixed bag.
To clarify that, that sounds one-sided within itself. Well, basically the idiots it's just there.
And again, I'm trying not to generalise, but there is a massive mixed bag of who voted where and why.
Yeah, of course.
But there was a hell of a
There's
lot.
such a mixed bag of people from different class systems, different backgrounds, different cultures that voted Leave or Remain for so many reasons. Just the biggest issue is that because there were quite a lot of people that were on the fence who didn't have enough information, maybe didn't have the time to research enough information. Genuinely, what you can see from when you look back at it is these people were open to manipulation.
Yeah, and misinformation.
But a lot of people don't really want to go out and look for information either. They just want quick
they
fixes
just want it.
of
They just want
news
it
and
handed to them.
highlights and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, this is how they're open to manipulation. Is that they don't want to research. They haven't got time. They just want to finish work. They want to go and put their feet up. And they want to relax.
Just watch Netflix and chill. Yeah.
Just watch
Yeah,
Netflix
we all want to watch Netflix and chill.
Not with you, I don't.
Yeah, you do.
Nah, we'll leave that there.
It's
But-
not what you said last night, Craig.
They didn't get the right information, or they didn't get the honest information. I think that was it. There's ways of giving out all the information impartially, but it's not as effective because it makes people
just not as
make their
dramatic.
own way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And people love drama.
People love drama, and they'll believe usually the loudest voice if they're not willing to do the research themselves.
Yeah.
And who the media going to cover? The loudest voice.
Well,
Yeah.
The loudest voice, maybe doing the silliest thing, saying the most controversial thing, they're going to get in the
Yeah.
media. And
Because the Remain side, basically the person we had was David Cameron, and David Cameron
prim
for
and
the
proper.
Remain,
Prim and proper. Excuse me, I think we should. I think we
the
should remain.
good ship UK.
Yeah, yeah, we had the pig fucker.
Yeah,
it was a losing battle.
that was pretty much a losing battle right there.
Hey, Porky.
But the thing with David Cameron is that, I mean, he was like, I'm going to stay the captain of the good ship UK through the storms that we weather ahead, and regardless of whether we leave or whether we stay, I'm going to deliver the result of this referendum, even though that I've just said it's advisory, and I've said that because I can pull back then and I can do basically whatever I want. But still, I'm going to stay the captain, stay the course. And then what happened when they lost?
Well, the ship kind of hit the iceberg, and then as the musicians were playing, you see the ship going down, and just on that very first lifeboat that was conveniently already in the water, there was Cameron with three life vests
All the life vests.
and some children's jackets to
Yeah.
warm his feet.
It's like that time. It's like that bit where the plane's about to go down, and you turn round to see the pilot jumping out with every parachute, and just before he goes, you go, "Why have you got all of them?" He's like, "Well, what if one fails?
Yeah.
I must save me.
I'm the most important thing to save. If I can't save me, who can I save?" But this was it. It was at the second that he found out he'd lost, he just resigned.
Yeah.
He just resigned and left.
Yeah, no, he really did, didn't he?
Yeah, he
just give
really,
up.
really did, and it was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then the party that they'd set up for the Leave campaign, you see
Oh,
the press
yeah.
conference, and Boris Johnson's face, and he was standing there next to Michael Gove, and they were both looking at each other, and I've never seen so much fear in someone's eyes.
Do you know, it's the fact that he looks so... He just general Boris day to day is gumless as hell. You just look at his face and you think, it just looks like nothing's going on behind there. And it just at that moment, it was just even more, nothing. Just fear behind those thick lens
fear.
of nothing.
Abject fear.
Yeah.
Like the absence of space, right? That's the fear.
It was another what's it called? Silent hay rolling thing again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what was going through his head. He wasn't weird saying, "Oh crap, oh no, oh shit." It was just maybe faintly, just you could just slightly, if you concentrate really hard, you could probably hear, "Hello darkness, my old friend."
I've come to talk with you again. This is the thing, though, is that it was like, I remember seeing it, and this one journalist who just went, "So what are the plans for leaving?" And he was just like, "Oh no, I didn't think I'd get this far."
That's he does that media blackout, wasn't he? He wouldn't speak to anyone. They were all outside his house going,
there was a
"Oh,
good
Boris." And I think he just had to change his kecks a couple of times. Maybe put on some large nappies,
Yeah.
waddle quickly into the car. I think he was just stood there lost. I think maybe he's seen the results. And he's just been staring at the telly, controls in hand, in his striped pyjamas. You know he's got striped pyjamas.
He's definitely got striped pyjamas.
With BJ written on them.
Yeah, monogrammed striped pajamas with monogrammed slippers.
Yeah, oh yes.
Oh yes.
And he's just stood there, I think, at the controls, arms still out. Mrs. go, "Boris dear? Boris,
Boris, aren't you happy, dear? You won,
Just silence.
darling.
And he's just sitting there like, oh no.
Unable to move.
So it begins.
Can't do nothing. And he's just like, shit.
Yeah.
It's like pictures of his face coming on the news with Rule Britannia in the background. He's like, oh,
Oh, crikey.
oh dear. And I think this will be a good place for us to leave this for this episode.
You lucky devils, we've finally finished talking. You can go away, put your phone down, and be free for another week.
Wait.
But when you come back again, we'll be talking about the Tory leadership campaign and the reign of May.
Ooh. Right, let's stop it there before we get a copyright strike. Yeah. Right, so again, as always, if you like what you've heard, comment, get in touch with us, tell us your suggestions, anything along those lines. The links, as before, are in the descriptions. Thank you again ever so much. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
And Julia from Swindon, we do appreciate the pictures.
Hang on, I haven't seen these pictures.
I have not seen these pictures either. Where are you getting this stuff from, Julia from Swindon?
All this fan mail you're getting.
It's probably not for the site. I pay for it.
See you later, folks.
Bye.
We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Nah.